hub that's, as I said, it's held by IBG in Brazil. And then I will show you quickly results on about this consultation, these two consultations we have conducted to 2022, 2023. Just a few words about the UNCBD, the UN Committee of Experts on Big Data and Data Science for Official Statistics. It's an instance that was created 10 years ago, actually at the Statistical Commission of 2014. And the idea was, first, the Statistical Commission recognized the need of looking into different data sources. We had already a discussion about registers, and then big data appeared as an opportunity to complete, to replace, but most of the case to complete some data that are missing in the statistical production. Today, 10 years after, the UNCBD is big, as you can see here, because it's not, if it's possible to show at the big screen who is behind the scene. It's not going to the big screen. We have a huge structure nowadays, a governative structure, but also some task teams. If I know. Okay, at the bottom, the orange boxes are task teams that are studying how to use big data for different subjects in different ways, in different kind of big data. For example, mobile phone big data, satellite imagery, for what? For scanner data, for prices. So those task teams are working on that. We have also training task team. We have privacy enhancing technologies task team. So it's a couple of task teams working, basically made up of national statistical offices and international institutions. At the left, you see the regional hubs and the sector hubs. We are talking about a work that is held by the regional hub in Latin America and the Caribbean, but we have also regional hubs. I will skip. We have also regional hubs in Africa, in Middle East, and also in Asia. They are the four regional hubs we have. We have a sector hub working with the economic account that's nowadays in the Basque Center in Spain. But it's a sector hub. It's not working with national statistical offices in the region. All the other regional hubs are working with the national statistical offices in their region. In Brazil, what we wanted to do, we are a regional hub to support national statistical office in the use of big data for statistical production. Basically, that's what we do. We do that in 4 work streams. We conduct training as courses and hands-on activities. We are doing research on the use of big data for statistical production. We are organizing some conferences, some activities. We organize workshops. We organize, for example, joint with the UNSD and also with the CLAC, some activities, all in the meaning of building capacity for using big data in national statistical offices. What I am showing today is a result of the consultation as I have mentioned. That's one of the very important activities we are doing, because in this way we know what is the challenges, we know what the countries are doing, the national statistical offices are doing, we know the needs, and we can share. We know even if they have a capacity to help other countries. This year we conducted one activity joint with Dani, Colombia. You received a group of 7 countries. The Dani received a group of 7 countries to be trained, and we know that because we made a consultation. And in one point, Dani, Colombia said, yes, we are using big data, we are doing this and that with big data, so we can just go and ask collaboration of these countries to help other countries in the region, because we share a common culture, a common language most of the time, and so it's possible to have one country helping another country in the region. The cooperation, the regional cooperation, South-South, but specifically in Latin America and the Caribbean, is very, very possible, as you will see soon, because I will show you how many countries are already using big data for statistical production. It may be for experimental statistics or for official statistics, but they are doing a lot. So it's this consultation is very important to help us to follow up how it's evolving in the region, but most of all, how it was, because when we started in 2021, we did the first consultation in 2022, and we had already pictured what was the situation in Latin America and the Caribbean. So it's just general results. I think that it's just some general results of the response. We had in 2022 16 countries responding, and in 2023 17 countries. I will show you in a map how it's going. The names of the countries are in the bottom. I will not read that to save time, in the interest of time. Just to show you how is that. 2022 at the left, the countries in green have answered the consultation, and the same for 2023. As I mentioned, 16 in 2022, 17 in 2023. Caribbean is not very possible to see because it's a lot, but it's 6 countries in Caribbean that answered the 2023, 3 countries in 2022. Here it's picturing how things are going, what countries, what national statistical offices are using big data for official statistics, the first map, the middle map, experimental statistics, and the right map, what countries are conducting studies on the use of big data for official or experimental statistics. Just quickly to show you what they are using, the blue one at the left, what they are using, what type of big data, and for what the right one. They're using basically web scraping, satellite imagery for official statistics to produce information on population, poverty, prices. Yeah, I have to look here. And prices. In terms of experimental statistics, again, web scraping, social networks, satellite imagery to produce what? Prices, poverty, population, mobility. In terms of studies, they are doing, again, web scraping, satellite imagery. It's not, of course it's that, because satellite imagery is free to use. You can use web scraping with some technologies, but you don't need to buy data. And that's one of the challenges in using big data when you don't have data. So just summarizing the challenges are reported by the National Statistical Office are human rights, technological infrastructure, methods, financial resources, legislation, techniques for privacy enhancing technologies, interoperability of the big data with other kind of data, and knowledge of what big data is. That's new, that's this year. People said, look, we don't know really what big data is. So we have to talk more about that in order to make clear what kind of data we are calling big data. Just to finish, some remarks. It's an ongoing study. So we have 2 years, but we intended to conduct that every year and to try to follow up that what we expect that the improvement in the region. We need to improve the response rate. I have talked to the colleague at CARICOM to improve, especially in Caribe. UNCBDs address some of the challenges, for example, infrastructure. If you don't have that, that is the global platform. It's the one resource that the UNCBD is putting available for the national statistical offices. What we can see is that most of the countries in Latin America, in North and South America, Central and South America, they are using in a way, even if they are just studying. We don't know much about Caribbean area because we didn't get that many answers. So that's our partners. INERI, Dani, National Statistical Office in in Paraguay, our direct partner. We are partnering with all the national statistical offices, but they are supporting us at the regional hub, being part of a structure that we have, our advisory board and other kind of instances, the IADB, CLAC, just to show you how many people, I will not read the names, how many people is involved on that. And that's all. Thank you very much. I think that I passed a bit. I expected 15 minutes. Thank you very much. I will pass to Piedad. So if we can have... Okay. Piedad is picturing what's going on in Dani, Colombia.
Well, thank you very much.
You have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, while the presentation pops up, I just want to talk about what we have advanced in big data for Colombia. Okay, good. Here it is. So we started with the use of experimental statistics. We have already done some experimental statistics that come from projects that are either being undertaken and have an innovative aspect, either with new data or new sources or a new methodology or a combination of any of the three, or when we have to face a new topic or something that we have to measure for the first time. That's what we call experimental statistics. And under that figure, then we are considering experimental as they offer new ways of quantitatively characterizing this phenomenon in the three dimensions of the sustainable development, economic and socio-demographic and environmental for the country. You can find out our experimental statistics in the link that is there in the bottom of this slide, and you can download and see whatever we have produced. So among them, I want to point out that we start producing these experimental statistics because there's global, national, and subnational decision making that we're needing, and we are not producing some of this data, but by using any of these innovations that I just mentioned, we could. Second, we could measure and monitor SDGs, and that's very important. Third, okay. We can exchange and integrate data between and among institutions. Four, we can create linking points and new insights between data. Five, where we can promote investing and in capacity building. And finally, we can explore and leverage new data and sources. So from the creation and objectives that we have, it all started in 2019. We have legal creation of the group that's working with these objectives in 2019. It was modified by May 2020, and in the incoming months, we will have a new update. So the idea is to have innovation and collaboration in statistical processes, analysis of trends, good practices and standards, international standards to improve our processes, research and incorporation of cutting-edge methodologies supported by proofs and concepts, and articulation with technical directorates and working groups ranging from thematic definition to recommendations to optimize statistical operations. So the innovation in data and technology for decision making is something that we also want to work on, with emphasis on the use of non-traditional data sources, for innovative proposals, the integration of machine learning techniques for advanced methodologies, the use of data visualization tools to improve decision making, and applied research projects that look for modernization of the entity, strengthening statistical processes, and improve decision making with advanced data. So I want to point out this last point, because it's not only useful to produce the data, to create the indices, the SDGs that we have to do, but will also optimize our own statistical production. So by leading this modernization, strengthening statistical processes, and improving processes that we already do. Machine learning, we are piloting some issues within the DANE, and we're already seeing good results for that. So this aims to the use of non-traditional sources, the application of machine learning, and finally, data visualization. So in this slide, I just want to point out that we have carried out several projects for applied research in this area since 2019 when we started with this, and up to 2022 we have several projects going on that have improved many of the estimations that we need to produce and indices that are important for decision making, both private and public decisions that are needed and produced for the institution. So on the other hand, we combine this with a lot of geospatial information. So this allows the integration of statistical and geospatial information, which is key for using Earth observations in national statistical offices and for the calculation of SDGs. So it allows the production of indicators from NDGs, which could otherwise be technically or financially very difficult to calculate. It will reduce the frequency of surveys and associated costs by providing information at a higher level or of disaggregation, and it provides breakdown and granularity of indicators, ensuring that they are spatially oriented. So again, here are some of the examples that we are using these techniques to produce all these indicators. As you can see, SDG 911, SDG 11, 1.1, 2.1, 3.1, and 7.1. So all of them are only available to produce for us by combining this information and applying this type of methodologies that will lead to the construction of these SDGs that typically are subnational and very hard to produce if we are basing our estimations mainly or only on surveys. So this is just great examples of how we're producing this. Also, it allows the identification and prioritization of urban areas susceptible of updating in the statistical framework of areas based on the definition of indicators of urban dynamics. So things like urban soil density or expansion of the landscape, imbalance of population and urban growth, and spatial autocorrelation with within statistical operations are also great uses that we are benefiting from these methodologies. So these are other initiatives that we are doing, that we're carrying out at this point in DANE. So we want to have an autonomous database and object storage, data science, and Oracle data integration is something that we're using for the identification in anomalies within the urban economic census. So it's proven to be very effective to train, evaluate, and implement models for machine learning to detect these anomalies within the operative and thematics for this census, and will be a great implementation that we will do for this year. We have already piloted this for this particular census, and once we are picking up the data next year, we hope it works. It is also important to characterization of gender and sex provided by the government of data within the tool of data science in the cloud, having access to the security and information management. We have also produced the monetary poverty indicators for very small areas, combining with satellite information and geospatial information. And we are producing already both this for very small areas, not only municipalities, but also for blocks. We can also have this news index, which is a model interpretation and classification of text data from 3 sources of information: news in the websites, trends in Google, and information that we already have in our surveys. So we are developing at this point a pilot, and we are using the GPU resource both for training and pre-processing. And finally, for perception of trust and perception of discrimination, we are using both interpretation models and text classification coming from tweets, now X, by Dane Colombia, and Facebook comments for the measurement of this trust perception about Dane from citizens and the general public. So we are, at this point, also learned that there are several dimensions that have impact in production. The use of non-traditional sources to make decisions, to contrast and to improve capacities, both in programming and learning new statistical models. For the use of non-traditional sources, we are approaching social network, text and websites, the machine learning methodologies that we're training our statisticians and engineers in the institution are KNN, autoencoder, neuronal networks, multi-output, mice, local outlier factor, and isolation forest, and ABOT. Other additional techniques are web scraping and image processing, text analysis or sense analysis, topic vectorization, and processing of natural language. So other results that we are achieving are the optimization of internal processing the entity. As I mentioned, we have already done it for one entire statistic process in particular, and we are having very good results. So we are hoping to expand this use of machine learning for the generation of research documents, to develop and improving algorithms, and to provide recommendations for internal and external entities. So there are some challenges from using big data, as with everything else. So one is having insufficient technological infrastructure. We're using Oracle Cloud for cloud processing, but there are limitations in the generation of local data lakes. Another challenge that we face is the lack of technical capacity in big data and AI, because most of the people that are well trained in these areas are people that are very well paid outside the institution, outside the public sector in general. So we have a high staff turnover, and recruitment is very difficult. So there's more need for specialized equipment as well, because it takes a lot of machine time. The third challenge is limited negotiation capacity with the private sector, because this is a new technology, is mostly or entirely produced by the private sector, and then that's very limited for us. And we have some cases studies from mobile phone data or access to LinkedIn and social networks. Also technological gaps and the need to improve relationships with particularly these private institutions. Fourth challenge is ethical use of the web data sources. There are legal problems and clauses for use, and to ensure safe treatment and privacy of users. And the last challenge is the change of culture within the NSO. So the strengthening and the institutional change derived from this innovation should be understood as a process, but this is really hard to make people understand. Duplication of tasks, strengthening and empowerment of areas within the office to lead the progress, for instance, in systems, is also one big challenge to face. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pedro. Thank you very much. Very nice presentation. It's really nice to see how we are picturing well what are the challenges. I guess that Myosotis will mention some that is not very different from that. Actually, in these meetings that we are always discussing the challenges of national statistical offices, the challenges are basically the same. I think that we face a difficult moment. It's not only due to the pandemic, but the pandemic severed that. That's that we are facing challenges in all the areas of statistical production, and it reflects also in the use of big data. Thank you very much, Piedad. Miosotis, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. And also I want to thank you and the Hub for the invitation to the Dominican Republic National Statistical Office to share with you our little step in all those issues about the big data. And one of the things I want to share with you is that we recognize that it was very important to use the data, the non-conventional and non-traditional sources to generate to produce statistics. And in the case of the Dominican Republic, I remember when we arrived to the government that we started to do a kind of working with the analysis of sentimental analysis of the Twitter, Facebook, and social network about prices, and we are making a small report for our minister, and each week. And because there was a lot of issue around the prices of the basic products in the Dominican Republic, and at that time, one of the things that the minister talked to us is that it was not well received because there was a lot of the sentiments were not good about it. So try to give to the decision makers, try to present those information about those kind of analysis that was very new, and they were not like open to start a conversation about that. So with this, having this in mind, and also having in mind that, for example, in the environmental sector, we have a lot to produce. There is a lack of information, a lack of indicators that we start to make a reflection inside of the office and try to see how we can take advantage of all the benefits that those non-traditional sources can do to the statistical production in the Dominican Republic. And today I want to share with you most of us the experience that we are having in the case of environment and the producing of some kind of indicators, but at the same time, just to mention that we are having also an experiment on with scrapping, that it was not good as good as we think, but that's what I want to share with you. And then this first slide that you are seeing, one of the issues that for us, the lesson that we are learning in the Dominican Republic is that it is necessary to plan all those things that you want to do. But it's important, and we know that it's important also that this production process of the statistics. But when you have to use those new traditional, non-traditional sources, it is very important, because it's like an investment that you are doing, and not all the time you know if it is going to be okay, and if you are not going to have all the resources that you need, and technical resources, human resources, to go around those kind of experiments that you have. And what we're doing in the case of environmental indicators that we were working is also to have this preparation, to planning to do a kind of research, that our team is doing in order to see what is the best, the best information that we have, the best good practices that we have in turn to adapt to the Dominican Republic and try to moving forward. And then that is important when you identify what you wanted, is the training and the continuous learning that our team is doing, and that was very important for us. Like, it is something that is to the next one, that is obtaining information for non-traditional sources, is this learning by doing. Because it's not just that the team is training themselves, they are training with the purpose, and they have, at the end of the exercise, something that they produce, and that is also very important to encourage the team to continue, because there is also around this kind to work with the good vibes for the team, and they try to move forward. And we have a lot of young people working on environment department, so there's all the time they need challenge, they need, you know, to see that they can they're doing something different and is innovating for them. And also all the time it will be in this process is very important. So review in the process we are having, and we are receiving a lot of also feedback from the environmental here in the statistical division, working with us, also doing the training. We are receiving a lot of training in big data, business intelligence, and how they can put into place for our team in the production and the dissemination. That it was very important also how then when we produce the indicator or the data, how is disseminated in different kind of innovative also visualization process. What we are doing, and just want to reflect in this with this slide, is that important is for us the training and the workshop for the application, this kind of, so to have our coach, no, in the implementation, and try that the team can find that they have this peer review, like is supporting you, that what you are doing, but also how those training and workshop that we are participating, how we can use different sources, like that we can have the information that we have in the Dominican Republic, trying also those kind of website on there is a free information that we can combine, that we can mix in order to calculate the different indicators. Up to now, with big data, we are obtaining some kind of indicators like land use and soil cover, vegetation index in protected areas, permanence of freshwater bodies over the time, and the solid waste in coastal areas through image. And with this one, is very important that we are using of drones in order to catch the image, and also working between our environmental department, but also with the geospatial department, trying to combine different those kind of mission that we have on the field. Is also a learning between two departments, doing a cooperation inside the office, and there is very important. And just to give you an example, we are calculating this with this promise, with the sargassum, that is very important for the tourism in the Dominican Republic, and how we can now given to the decision maker information about the density, and doing a kind of infography, having a dashboard, in order to collect information and give a kind of information to the decision maker. What is the main challenge? And as you mentioned, Andrea, and also Piedad, it is very, when I saw the slide of Piedad from Colombia, I saw that it's like the same to us, but at the same it's very interesting that we have the same challenge, because we can collaborate now. So it is an opportunity. If it's somebody that is very different, so it will be maybe some kind more difficult, but you have a community, you can learn from each other's, and there is not that who is ahead from the others, and that was very important. There was 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, there was in Dominican Republic the library, the book fair, and there was an interesting presentation about the progress. Now, because progress, when you think progress, you left behind the others. But we don't. That is not something about progress. It's something about development. It's something about the transform our society. And I think that in the case of big data, we have an opportunity also to strengthen the collaboration that we have as a region. Here, as you can see, all the technical challenge now, and have the opportunity to train in our team with the necessary and the specific trainings for calculate the information that is requested in the Dominican Republic, but also issues about the confidentiality and challenge, like license terms of the users under which data is protected, and also have that this confidentiality that we know that is important for us to share with and to this dissemination. As I told you, there was an experience also with scrapping. We're working with financial institution in the Dominican Republic, but I don't know going to deeper to this experience, but the learnings and lesson learned that I share with you now is from both experiments. And we identified that there is an opportunity for the use of data, so that we can trying to continue with this kind of experiment that we are interested on it. That we connect with an ecosystem of institution, and it was very important because there is a possibility and capacity of exchange and generate of automated information regardless of the modality, except for the environmental issues. In the case of the wood scrapping and financial area, we found that there is no market or there is no interest in among the institution that are part for the our national statistics system, no, on those kind of initiative, but maybe they have no another issue, and maybe there is something that we have also to try to develop in the Dominican Republic. We are pushing about our reform, and we are trying to do in this scope, no, pero at the level. What we saw is that at the level of discourse, there is a lot of interest in, but when you have to materialize all the agreement that you arrive, there is no reflected. And also, as institution need to make a maximum effort to provide information to require for the interchange, the interoperability that they have to create, and this framework for that. It is important to have define in order to take more advantage, to more benefits about all those experience. So that is my last slide. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Miazotis. Thank you, Piedad, for keeping the time. It's very important to come back and always remembering the challenges, because we have a very few money. We need to know where to put it. So to look into our challenges, institutions that are supporting national statistical office like IADB, like a CLAC on the use of big data or any other kind of data. It's very important to share with them, because it's a way of knowing where to put the investments that we don't have that much. I would like now to open to other national statistical offices that wanted to make any comment or to say a bit about how is that using big data at the National Statistical Office. If anyone wants to say a few words to share with us, or if you are not doing, what are the challenges you can see, in what way we could in terms of UN regional hub help the countries to start a project with big data. As I said, UNCBD, UNSD through UNCBD already addressing some of the challenges. They have the expert group on privacy enhancing technology. That's very important. Another one on training, and another resource we have is the global platform. So for the countries that have face issues in terms of infrastructure, they can count on the global platform that belongs to this structure of UNCBD. Yes, now I would like to open to the countries. I don't know if there is someone online that wanted to make a question. There is a question. You can come here if you want, because I could not connect. I tried to connect, I could not. If you want that. Okay. Okay. Alrighty. Okay.
Hi everyone.
Feel free, go ahead.
Thank you very much for this space. I enjoyed the presentation very much, and I am Federico Juncosa from CAF, from the research department at CAF Development Bank, and we had an initiative where we were like pushing for projects that use admin data and big data for the use of public policies in the like not only in the evaluation of ex post performance of policies, but also on the design and monitoring, real-time monitoring of policies. That was called hands-on data. I don't know if you've heard it before. And we had a collaboration with Dane specifically on that project, and we published a book together. And I was wondering about the presentation that I assume that it's very relevant because we found that as a very prominent barrier that the availability of data from private sources, but also from different agencies within the government, data sharing and the purposes for which that sharing is being done is always an issue, and the states in the region have this sort of inertia and hurdles to come together to share data. But also the pandemic was a very big push for the use of these data, and so I was wondering if you could recollect and gather and share experiences with policy, regulatory, and legal tools to kind of push through these hurdles and get to better sharing and pushing for the private sector for sharing data for public policies. It would be great. It would be great to have that as a common knowledge in the region.
Thank you very much. Do you, Piedad or Miosotis, want to address?
Well, indeed, during the pandemic, we created a geo-visualizator with some socio-demographic and economic characteristics of the households that was produced at the level of block. So that was very important for policy making, for policy decisions, as it provided the vulnerabilities of households at this very small level. And it was very useful for policymakers to bring or try to cover the necessities that household had during the pandemic. So that was kind of a push, as you said, due to the pandemic. And those methods have also been used, as I showed in the presentation, for the production of other geospatial data combined with socio-demographic information.
Thank you very much, Piedad. Do you wish?
in the Dominican Republic, no, because we started as I mentioned, like in 2021, and just with environment, but most of the vulnerability information is made by SUBEN, that is the unique beneficiary system, that is the one who produce and calculate those information that is taken into account for vulnerabilities and all the yes.
Thank you very much. Just a
Right.
quick
Just a quick recap. I was wondering about the legal instrument per se. I mean, when it was the height of the pandemic, we were trying to work with admin data on social registries, just to georeference where people live, where people work in admin records, and try to model through the transit network where concentrations would happen. But then the government made an alliance. I don't know if I don't know the details, if it was a legal instrument to push them, or it was a collaboration that emerged due to the needs of the pandemic. But to have those instruments at hand and be able to consider them for for the future would be great.
Just a quick comment, because your question, your issue takes us back before the pandemic. It's a long time that we are just fighting for data integration in our at least in Brazil, and I think that all the countries live the same. We know that other parts of the government, for example, has some kind of data, admin data. It's before pandemic and before big data, because now we are talking about big data, but even before, we were already trying to work on the project of that data integration that could bring data from other part of the government, but it's an issue because everybody's out of their data, and privacy enhancing technologies come to try to help us to show that we can share data. We can integrate data, and we can use you can do that without putting risk the privacy. But it's an ancient issue that at least in Brazil we didn't address yet. We don't have yet a data integration area in the government, let's say. Beyond that, it comes with the private sector data. So, but before that, we have to address our own issues with the government. We are government. When they say, I cannot give you the data due to privacy issues, we say, wow, but we are government. We are the National Statistical Office. We are under the fundamental principles of official statistics, and we are concerned about privacy. But they keep saying that we cannot give at the end of the day, what happens is that each one feels that they are owner of that data. But yeah, you are right. We have to address that at one point. Thank you very much for the question, for the comment. Anyone else here? Any other National Statistical Officer? Anyone else in the room would like to make a comment, question, contribution? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, and it was a pleasure to be here to listen to those very informative presentations. And this, I would say, is also a very important area for CARICOM. It's actually speak to another one of our strategic priorities under the Regional Strategy for the Development of Statistics, that is on the innovation, and also the IT infrastructure, which is an important strategic driver. However, we have not gone very far with in terms of advancing innovation. But I think, as my colleague from Jamaica made reference to the issue of how can we leverage big data to complement the production of official statistics, given the challenges that we are having in executing our normal statistical activities, for example, surveys, and the response rate that we are getting from those surveys, and the pandemic would have significantly affected our response rate in most of our member states. So we have to be thinking about creative ways and means to compile our statistics. And of course, this offers an important opportunity for us that we can capitalize on, right? One particular area that I know countries might be interested in is the household budget surveys. The execution of these surveys is very onerous, right? And most countries have tried the diary approach and the recall approach, and neither was very effective. So are there any experiences in terms of developing your basket for your consumer price index using these alternative sources of data, right? Because I can give you an example that conducting a household interview for the household budget survey using the recall method actually took on average 4 to 5 hours for one household, right? Which is, you know, which is just not practical, not reasonable. It's not something that we can sustain. So we're interested, very highly interested in knowing how we can develop this area so that we can capture information that would inform our expenditure patterns to develop a basket for consumer price index, right? Also, I would say important for us is training and capacity development in this area. And I think there was an initiative under the Project for Regional Advancement of Statistics in the Caribbean, which was being executed by Statistics Canada. There was actually a training in data science in collaboration with the Office of National Statistics Office in the UK. So I think we need to build on this work to ensure that that the capacity is there within the sub-region, right? Also, we can consider establishing centers of excellence that could assist in developing this capacity in our member states. Quite interesting was the information on the use of geospatial information. I think this is something that we can capitalize on, given that most of the countries have updated imagery and geospatial information because of the census. So our production of the SDG indicators in CARICOM is rather low, and I see this as a low-hanging fruit that that we could actually capture information on these indicators, where we can use the imagery that is available to produce those. I could also speak to well, access to big data could be an issue, but I think there is an opportunity for us, because I've been in discussion with the CARICOM private sector organization, who have expressed their willingness to collaborate with us. So I think they could use their influence to probably leverage this sort of access that you would need from the private sector to access big data. But obviously, as you indicated, there are confidentiality issues that the private sector will be concerned about. So we need to be able to allay those concerns, right? Well, as indicated, there is a lack of capacity in the analysis of this type of data. However, recently we have discussed with one of our organizations, Caribbean Youth Council, that do a lot of research and they indicated that they have access to a lot of the human resources and the expertise in terms of data science and machine learning and so this is one group that we could collaborate with in terms of doing greater research in this area. But of course, going forward, we would have to continue collaborating and so to see how we can develop tools that would be of benefit to the CARICOM region. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just quickly, I didn't mention in the interest of time, but we have been holding training. We had a training in 2022 delivered by IBG on using web scraping for prices. So you can reproduce your basic basket and also the CPI. The part that is online is available because there is recordings. And this year, we just delivered the training on the use of satellite imagery for the indicator 1171, and it was delivered by Dani, Colombia. And the online part is also available because we have recordings. So if you want to have a look at that and share with the countries in the region, feel free because it's on the website of the regional hub. That's just hub.ibg.gov.br. It's easy to find it, or go into the website of the UNCBD, you'll find also that. I will just close, but sorry. Pass.
Just to add, so we are planning through a development account, trying to do another round of this training in this kind, and maybe we can invite some countries from the region, from the Latin America and from the Caribbean, of course. Just we have to see
arrange that,
the ranges.
This training was delivered in Spanish. Maybe we can have another one delivered. I talked to Danielle, we talked together yesterday, deliver one in English, because one country from Caribbean just registered. When saw that was in Spanish, they quitted. So maybe we can have a round in English.
With trying to do it with translation, just to have this opportunity to have the two, Spanish and English-speaking countries.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Rolando. I will give the floor to Freddy, and we close because everybody may be hungry.
I know. I'll be brief. Thank you, Andrea, again from the Global Partnership. So my comment is related on how we make linkages on the different agendas that we have. So when we talk about data and big data, that's kind of an agenda that is talking to each other, but then we have the AI agenda. And we see in some conferences and events that they don't take into consideration sometimes that data is the basis for AI. So we need to actually be very much involved in these conversations, especially from the stats community as well. And also the other agenda that should be in the focus when we discuss about big data is the digital transformation, which is also based on data. So these kind of discussions, since we are part of the statistical community, we have to also be part of this discussion so that they are not working in silos, but rather that the statistical community is involved in this. And then just finally to mention, as I said in the previous intervention about the training that we have on mobile data operators that is coming up in the next few weeks. I know it's not for the whole region, we have a number of countries, but this is actually the first exercise that we're planning to have, and probably next year we'll have a second round on mobile data operators, which is actually big data as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Freddy. Thank you very much, Miosotis and Piedad, and everybody that studied here and also connected. So thank you very much.
So we have time for a quick lunch.